For 34 years, it has been a tradition for China's top diplomat to kick off the country's foreign policy engagement with a visit to the African continent. This year, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, also a member of the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China's Central Committee, visited Egypt, Tunisia, Togo and Cote d'Ivoire, emphasizing economic development and bilateral ties. The situation in Gaza also topped the agenda in talks with the Arab League officials and the Egyptian leadership, reiterating China's commitment to addressing global and regional challenges responsibly. Furthermore, Wang Yi underscored the need for African countries to safeguard their sovereignty and find their own development paths. This week on the program, we look at the highlights of Chinese Foreign Minister's tour, examining how these visits impact Africa and explore the evolving dynamics of China-Africa cooperation. I'm Beatrice Marshall. Welcome to Talk Africa. We are delving into the significance of China's annual foreign policy tradition, the visit to Africa by its top diplomat. Before we bring in our panel, CGTN's Robert Nagila unpacks for us the key highlights. Let's take a listen.
The foreign minister began his four-country Africa tour on Saturday with a visit to Egypt, where he met with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. He also held talks with Egypt's foreign minister, where they agreed to push for elevating their bilateral relations to a new level. Their discussions also touched on the war in Gaza.
We are working with Arab and Islamic countries to cease the fire and fighting. The Palestinian crisis has lasted for 76 years. This is a historic injustice that should not continue any longer.
Egypt's foreign minister Sameh Shoukry affirmed his country's support for the OneChina principle and praised the development cooperation between the two countries.
We value what China has achieved in development. It is a role model for developing countries for work and political will to progress and develop. We look forward to benefiting from the Chinese model.
On Monday, the Chinese foreign minister traveled to Tunisia, where he held talks with President Kais Saied in the capital Tunis. Wang Yi said China supports Tunisia in the safeguarding of its sovereign independence and national dignity. The Tunisian president, meanwhile, affirmed his country's support for the Belt and Road Initiative and committed to the One China principle. Later, Wang Yi held talks with Tunisia's foreign minister Nabil Lamar, where they agreed to strengthen high-level exchanges and expand all-round cooperation. From Tunisia, Wang Yi traveled to Togo on Wednesday, where he met President Faure Gnassingbe and conveyed warm greetings from President Xi Jinping. He also met with Prime Minister Tomega Dogbe and Foreign Minister Robert Dessay. The two sides pledged to enhance strategic cooperation in their joint efforts towards modernization. Robert Nagila, CGTN, Nairobi, Kenya.
Well, let's now bring in our panel of experts. Joining us from Cairo, Gamal Roshdi, spokesperson for the Arab League Secretary General. In Abidjan, Professor Juliam Libi, economist and managing director of Mentley and Partners in Cote d'Ivoire. And in Beijing, joining via Zoom, Professor Ho Weng-Ping, research fellow, Institute of West Asian and African Studies. A very warm welcome to you all, and thank you for joining in on this discussion. I want to get your view first of the foreign minister's visit to Africa. China's foreign minister Wang Yi has been on a tour of 4 African countries this week: Egypt, Tunisia, Togo and Cote d'Ivoire. First of all, Gamal, let me start off with you. Can you first outline the key highlights of that tour? How would you characterize the main objective?
I think it was a very important, successful visit by the Chinese foreign minister. He's an old friend of the Arab League's Secretary General Ahmed Abul Ghaid. They met, they had a very successful meeting. Of course, they exchanged views on the current issue, the most important issues in the region, and also the issues that are important to China. they shared they saw eye to eye on Gaza, and the meeting during the meeting it was important to listen to the Chinese positions on Gaza. Because this is the most pressing issue now in the Arab world and the Arab region. Actually, it was an occasion for the Secretary General of the Arab League to express appreciation to the Chinese positions on Gaza. China is an important world power, and it has leverage. It's playing an increasingly active role in the Arab region, and it was important to express a shared view with the Chinese foreign minister that this war, this Israeli campaign on Gaza, has to stop now. It has caused a humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. The assistance should be allowed in Gaza with a sustainable mechanism that would allow for the assistance to go into Gaza to ease the humanitarian situation people are living there. The two leaders also expressed their shared view that this conflict in Gaza should be contained and should not be expanded into the region as we are witnessing, into other places in the region as we are witnessing now in the Red Sea and other spots in the Middle East. On his part, the Arab League's Secretary General, he was keen to express on his part the support for the One China principle, to express the Arab position on the Taiwan issue. The Arab countries, all the Arab countries support the One China principle. To sum up, the meeting was important for each side to express support for the other side's issues and issues of concern.
Professor Ho Weng-Ping, let me get your view on the key highlights you thought came out of the tour.
Yes, I fully agree with previous speakers, his opinion, because this time around, when China's foreign minister visit Africa, as we have been doing in the past 34 years. But this year, one of the different issues is now we are facing this hotspot issue, Palestine, Gaza, the Israel, this conflict, this Gaza, this humanitarian crisis there. So that is why we talked with the Egyptian, president and also Arab League. Now, joint visit, issued this statement. Either with Egypt, also with Arab League. So we have been reached very widely this concern, this common points. That is why now I think this come out with the joint voice, not only from China and also from Egypt, from Arab League as a whole. So this is very important. One achievement has been made. And the second is, of course, Wang Yi, Foreign Minister Wang Yi tour, two North African countries and also two Western African countries. So he will talk about this China-Africa cooperation, especially collect opinions for this upcoming. This year. We will have this nice this China-Africa cooperation forum, FOCAC, meeting in Beijing. So we will continue to map out how to further develop our bilateral, this economic cooperation and the BRI, Belt and Road Initiative, how to synergy with Africa's development this strategy as well. Right.
Professor Libby, let me come to you. What are the key highlights?
As you know, the relationship between China and Africa are deepening. And China is becoming fast the most important trading partner of African countries. So it's no surprise that the minister come to Africa to visit this country, especially the country that he is visiting. Egypt is a key partner, not only in the economic front, but also on the geopolitical side. And then you have in West Africa, Cote d'Ivoire is the leading economy and the country that that hosts most of the population of West Africa. So I think it makes a lot of sense that he visits those countries to strengthen the relationship that exists between China and those countries.
So the choice of Cote d'Ivoire and Togo, specifically in West Africa, how do you see this, broadening, contributing to China's broader strategic efforts in the region?
China is, even if you take the case of Cote d'Ivoire, for example, China is now the leading trading partner of the country, and this has not been the case in the past. Over the past 20 years, China has become this important and strategical business economic partner for this country. I think it goes all the way also for Togo. So and as you know, we are in a new phase of world diplomat situation. Cote d'Ivoire and Togo, West Africa as a whole, is becoming a very important point for the geopolitical issue that is underpinning the world as of now. So I believe that this visit will reinforce this relationship and also demonstrate that China is no longer is a global player that is willing to strengthen its relationship with Africa, which is actually the new frontier for everything in the world today.
Right. So I want to come back with you, Gamal, because in Cairo, Foreign Minister Wang Yi expressed deep concern there over, the recent rapid escalation of the situation in the Red Sea. He did also advocate for a press conference, a peace conference to be held over the Gaza situation, and called for a timetable on the implementation of a two-state solution. What is the implication? What has been the implication of that speech?
It was very important because, as you know, the two issues are intimately linked. The situation in Gaza, the war in Gaza, and the deterioration of the security situation in the Red Sea. As the war continues, it becomes increasingly difficult to contain the fallout from the Gaza war and to contain the fires that are popping up in other areas in the region, as we are witnessing now in Iran, Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, and of course the Red Sea. In his visit, the Chinese foreign minister was keen to express the view that the situation in the Red Sea should be contained. China is an important economic power, of course, and the commercial trade in the Red Sea is a Chinese interest. It's a world interest, and of course, it's an Arab security and commercial priority. The Red Sea, the security in the Red Sea. So, but it would be very difficult to contain this deteriorating situation in the Red Sea without bringing the war in Gaza to an end and bringing about a ceasefire immediately. This is the safest and this is the most speedy way to achieve a de-escalation in the Red Sea and in the region at large.
So, Professor Ho Wen-ping, I want to come back to your earlier point. You mentioned that this is the 34th consecutive year when a Chinese foreign minister has visited Africa as their first overseas trip at the beginning of each year. What key economic and political significance do these visits actually hold?
We all know Africa has been always serving as the very reliable allies for China. For example, now all the countries Foreign Minister Wang Yi visited, including Arab League all support China's One China policy. You see, they're against those, those way of doing, saying, supporting Taiwan's so-called independence move. And this is a core interest for China's diplomacy. And also, China also made clear we also support African countries to seek for its suitable, the model, development model, fit with their own national condition. So we are against all those outside interfere with Africans' affairs, especially those domestic issues. So all this, we are on the same page. And economically, no matter China's BRI, Belt and Road Initiative, or African Union's the 2063 this agenda, we are all, also on the same page.
Professor Libby, let me come to you, because West African countries have been experiencing a decline of Western influence. How might China's presence influence regional stability, and are there potential security considerations in the choice of Togo and Cote d'Ivoire?
China is the model for Africa. Over the last 40 years, this country moved from an agrarian state to the industrial powerhouse that we know today. And China has been able to achieve that without colonizing any neighboring country or any foreign country. And so this is the model. China has written the book on pragmatism and how to move from one state to the other. And so I think the China's model is something that some African countries may need to look at and possibly borrow some page from the book that China has written about how to move from one state to the other. So as we know, as Africa is moving ahead, there are some challenges, economic challenge, there are security challenge, and the world as a whole, as we know today, there are many challenges. So it's good for this country to develop, strengthen their relationship with China, and also China also has a role to play in advising those countries in time reinforcing its relationship with this country, right, whether on the economic or on the security front.
All right. On that note, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we will delve into the prospect of China-Africa relations in 2024. To stay with us. Welcome back to Talk Africa. Let's continue with our discussion. Still with me, Gamal Roshdi, Professor Gilliam Libby, and Professor Ho Wenping. Gamal, let me come to you on this question of global governance, because you have talked about moving forward what the Middle East countries would like to see from global governance. Egypt is a new member of BRICS and a major country in the Arab and the African world. Foreign Minister Wang Yi talked of Egypt through BRICS jointly promoting global governance. What is the implication for global governance, particularly with Foreign Minister Wang Yi coming out of Egypt going forward in the context of the Israel-Gaza conflict and Egypt's role here?
So there are three Arab countries who joined the BRICS or joined the BRICS recently, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Of course, it's very important because it makes the BRICS a significant economic and potentially political bloc that reflects the power, the weight, the importance of the global South. In economic terms, it's a major change in the world economy in terms of fostering the cooperations between those important economies. Actually, in the BRICS, the fruit, the economic fruit, is certain. But in political terms, it remains to be seen whether this bloc would be would speak with one political voice when it comes to the global issues. But of course, it's a step. It's an important step in the direction of granting more weight to the global South. In the context of the war in Gaza, as you know, this war is not fought only in Gaza. It is also fought in the international in the arena of international public opinion. We all have witnessed rising voices coming from the global South, criticizing Israel, criticizing even the powers who support Israel and provided with political cover. And frankly, there is a rising degree of a level of anger in the Arab region at the hypocrisy of those powers.
Right. So, Professor Howenpi, let me come to you and to find out exactly where Africa stands here, because Foreign Minister Wang Yi talked about Africa, and he said China opposes the imposition of one's own values on others, opposes the remodeling of other countries according to one's own standards, and opposes interference in internal affairs under the pretext of human rights and democracy. Following up on that thought, put this in context for us. How does Wang Yi see China supporting Africa in charting its own path?
Yes, because all those words given by Foreign Minister Wang Yi shows actually this is the way China has been gone through. The reason why China can stand up, from backward country 40 years ago, now becoming, the second biggest economy in the world. That is exactly we have been choosing our own China model, our own development experiences, building on with our own past, our culture, and also, all those different, the situation in China. Because you cannot impose like a one size fits all. Different country has a different history, different religion, and different condition. So that is why we come out with this principle, saying every country should have its own right to choose their own development model to fit with their own national condition, because it has been proved, by China's own past, and also actually has been proved by United States, their own past, and even European country, their political system. And if you go to the detail, actually it's not that same as the United States. So actually, even those like market economy, or sometimes the state gets very strong intervention into these market forces, even different administration, even Lady Thatcher's time, and then later the British government, all comes with different way. So how come you can say just one size fits all? So that's not fit with the reality, actually.
So, Gamal, I want to look ahead to 2024 briefly and get your point of this. How do you foresee the collaborations evolving in terms of economic cooperation and diplomatic ties? What new areas do you see emerging in 2024?
In terms of economic cooperation, there is a great potential. Of course, the trade between China and the Arab world exceeds 300 billion, more than $300 billion annually, and there is room for increasing this figure, much increasing this figure, because the areas of cooperation are widespread. There is an interest of by the Arab countries in the Chinese economic initiatives, such as the Belt and Road and so on, and how to join those initiatives with Arab visions of the development visions. So in economic terms, there is an interest by the Arab countries to see the Chinese economy vibrant and prosperous, especially at this time of global economic problems, inflation, problems with the supply chain, and so on. In terms of as for the political aspect of the relationship, we look forward to a more active role by China in the region, in the Middle East, not only economically, but also politically. There are now more views coming from the global South about how to achieve more stability in global governance. China's vision is a political vision for how to achieve stability in the region. Its role, its active role in the Middle East is much needed, and we look forward to more Chinese engagement.
Professor Ho Wenping, your view here, looking ahead to 2024, what are the anticipated developments in China-Africa relations, and what new areas will we see emerging in China-Africa ties?
In 2024, I think we are going to have, like I mentioned, this 4CAC meeting, the new one. So obviously, we will continue to, strengthen China-Africa, these economic ties and the political mutual trust, as well as our diplomatic, this cooperation in terms of all those international big issues, even this Palestine, the Israel, this conflict. Actually, as my colleagues just mentioned, China has been doing that, now playing a greater role in mediating those conflicts, like those contradictions among the countries in the Middle East, like Saudi Arabia and Iran. Those two countries now already reopened their embassy in each other's territory, and also like both countries, Iran, Saudi, together with UAE, all becoming the new members in the this BRICS, this platform. So that shows already China has been doing that. Of course, we can do more, rather than less.
Right. Professor Libby, you have the final word.
China today is providing everything that the world wants in terms of industrial products. Africa is looking also to become an industrial base. So there is some experience there to be shared by China with Africa. So I believe that this type of the strengthening of this relationship will go a long way to help Africa achieve this objective. On the economic front, I will see continuing strengthening of the relationship. I will see that China has become like the most, with a portfolio of about $170 billion in loan. China has become one of the countries that is involved in the development of Africa. It has developed infrastructure projects, even banking, even also some resources. So that's on the economic front. I think this will continue, and this visit will help strengthen that. Also on the security side, as you see, we have some challenges in the region today, and those challenges have to be tackled. And everyone that can provide some help, everyone that get involved is welcome. And then, of course, you have the war, geopolitical situation that we witness today, with a lot of unstable situation in Ukraine, in the Gaza, and I believe that the diplomatic tie between Africa and China will be able to help, make some headways in those situations that are some threat to the world peace.
That's what we have time for on this edition of Talk Africa. A big thank you to our guests, Gamal Roshdi, spokesman for the Arab League Secretary General, Professor Julam Libi, economist and managing director of Mentley and Partners in Cote d'Ivoire, and Professor Ho Wenping, research fellow, Institute of West Asian and African Studies. Remember, you can be a part of this conversation through our social media platforms on Facebook and X, formerly known as Twitter. And you can watch these and other editions of Talk Africa on our YouTube playlist. Do join us again next week for more Talk Africa. For me, Beatrice Marshall, and the team here in Nairobi. Until next time, goodbye.